Well, mock drafts everywhere, York. Everywhere you look. We're 3 weeks away. You realize that? From the start of the draft.
Oh, I do. I do. Chicago controls the draft.
Live in our State Street studios. You can watch today and every day on YouTube. Make sure you click and subscribe. You can also watch on Twitch. And you can listen anytime, anywhere with the ESPN Chicago app. It's Carmen and Jurko. Let's get out to the CarX Tire and Auto Guest hotline and say hi to an old friend. We used to love having this guy on to talk football.
He used to come on forever. Then he had a show that was on at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Pete Prisco from CBS. I mean, just always very opinionated.
Never short
not
of
afraid.
Thoughts. Never short of thoughts.
Never short of thoughts and opinions. And he's got a new mock draft out. And we figured, let's see if Pete wants to come on. Hello, old friend.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Well, it's a pleasure hearing from you, my man. Thank you for coming on today.
You know, yeah, you were on at the same time I was on, so I couldn't do it.
I know. I remember. I mean, that was for like
We've
6-7 years, man.
Missed you, yeah.
We missed your dulcet tones. We missed your warm voice and your thoughts.
Big Cat told me he was. You guys were asking or mentioning me, and yeah, love him. Good dude, and you guys have a lot of the same kind of thinking when it comes to football and stuff. So it's good.
I hope that's good.
Yeah, and then guess what? The number I had was still the same number. It was
We
still
were
the same number.
We're like,
double
ask Big Cat. Make sure
Maybe
it's the
I
right
got
number.
the wrong number.
Because Pete goes on with Big Cat and PFT a lot. I like your latest mock. You did something bold. You weren't afraid. It's never happened before. 4 straight quarterbacks. Interesting that JJ goes higher. I mean, this is the way the hype machine goes.
I love McCarthy.
Who would have thought a year ago that JJ McCarthy could be going somewhere in the top 10, Pete? It's crazy.
And the word is it might be number 3 that the Patriots really like him. Me personally, I'll be honest with you. You guys love JJ because you're in the Big Ten and in that area. I just think he's average, a little bit above average. I wouldn't take him that high. I'd take him at the back end of the first round, maybe. I think this is a classic case in my mind of sheep following sheep. And by that I mean, did anybody think J.J. McCarthy was a first-round pick midway through that season? Nah, nobody. No. And then all of a sudden, after the season, they win. Team's great, by the way. They have 18 guys go to the combine. You're going to have a ton of guys drafted. And everybody in the scouting community comes back to each other. Hey, he likes him, so now I got to go back and watch him. And now I like him. And then he likes him. And then 2 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 8, and 8 becomes 16. And all of a sudden, the media starts getting hold of that. Oh, everybody likes J.J. McCarthy. I got to look at him again. I don't love his game, and I wouldn't take him in the top 10, but quarterback star of the league, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you explained that well. That's the way this hype machine gets crazy. And listen, I want to cheer for JJ. He's from the town next door to me, and great family.
Play in high school.
Yeah, I mean, a great young kid. But I'm with you. I don't particularly think he's that good. I hate saying it. I would not spend I don't know that I'd spend a first-round pick, let alone a top 5 pick. Caleb, I think, can be special. I've always liked Drake May a lot, too. What do you think about Caleb and all the hype, and can he live up to it?
Well, I mean, look, the kid has special skills. So, he can do a lot of different things. He can throw the football like nobody else in this draft. I mean, he can spin the heck out of the ball. Having said that, there are flaws. He holds the ball sometimes. He doesn't throw in the context of the offense enough for my liking. He can make plays when he gets outside. He's such an athletic kid. He's a big, strong kid, too, by the way. He's not tall, but he's thick and he's strong. And he can make plays outside the pocket. But in the NFL, you guys know, you got to put, and it's evolved from way back in the day, but you still got to put your foot in your ground and go through your progressions. And so he's got to get better at that. But there's a lot to work with there. And I think he has a chance to be special. Again, though, there's some red flags, and I wasn't a big fan of crying on his mom after the game if that was based on football. And I don't know that for a fact, but if somebody died in the family, apologies to the kid, but nobody should ever cry after a football game.
Character issues? If we cleared him of any character issues, there's no problems there?
No, he seems like a really good kid. I mean, none. I mean, and just talking to people in the league and, the father's involved, and, he talks about his team instead of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He talks about his team. Our team, my team will do this. But that's the modern player nowadays. That's who they are. So he's a good kid. He no problems whatsoever. So I don't think there's anything from that standpoint.
He's made a lot of money through NIL. He's like, this is that first wave of kids we keep talking about that sort of has experienced this through their whole college career. And he played in Southern California where the lights are pretty bright. You think he's ready for what comes with, the responsibility and now maybe trying to finally drag this franchise up as being its first real franchise quarterback?
Since what, Sid Luckman?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
yes.
Basically, that's what it is.
Yes.
It'll be the first franchise quarterback. I mean, McMahon was good for what he did back in the day, but Sid Luckman was the last real franchise quarterback they had. So it's a team star for it, and so you got to take your shots. And they get criticized for the shots that they've taken, and okay, fine, but until you solve it, you have to keep doing it.
Yes.
So I get it.
Yes.
Jurko, I got to ask you something. Did you ever cry after a football game where you just lost the game?
No.
Or you might have cried like, if God forbid, if a family member passed away or something and it was emotional or something. I get it from that standpoint. But from a win-lose perspective, did you ever cry?
Never. Anger, frustration, maybe, but never tears in the eyes.
But what does it say that he did? What does that really say? Is that's a negative? I mean, if he's
To me, it is.
emotional?
Yeah, well, being emotional is one thing, but I'm with Jurko. I think, I can go back to when I was, 9 years old playing. I didn't cry over anything. I just didn't. I didn't.
Kids cry over. They strike out and they cry.
When you were
Pete,
kids, though, when the Bears lost when I was a kid, I cried. And I swear at the television,
kid, yeah.
and my father kicked me out. But at some point, you don't cry over anything.
It's strictly a
death.
winner. If, like I always say, and I've said this many a year, and you guys have probably heard me say that, if the worst thing that ever happens to you in your life is you lost a football game, you had a hell of a damn life.
I know. It's true, but I also don't know, like, that it speaks negatively, I guess. I don't know. To me, it's like that doesn't raise a red flag. Holding the ball too long might raise some red flags. That I agree with.
That's scary part.
That's the scarier thing to me, I guess, Pete.
Yeah, see, and like people make a big deal of him painting his nails and stuff. That doesn't bother. That doesn't bother me at all. Crying bothers me more than the nail stuff does, to be honest with you.
All right.
How do the Bears pass on Romeo Dunze at 9?
Yeah, how could they?
I don't think you can. And by the way, I think he's the third receiver in the class, and there's a difference between the first two in my mind. I do, but he's one of the most improved players I've ever seen. Last year, watching his tape, I didn't think he was the same guy he was this year, and that guy. For any receiver, he's the most improved I've seen from year to year in a long time. And Jaden Daniels, by the way, is the most improved player I've ever seen in my lifetime because guys know I went to Arizona State. He was terrible at ASU, and now he can really flip it around. But, yeah, I think the Bears would be caught in this situation. Edge rusher or add another receiver? I think that's the question they have to ask themselves. Don't you, if you're stuck there at 9?
Yeah. Well,
they need another guy.
They need an edge, yeah.
They need another guy opposite of Sweat. You're right. But I think Dunze would be it'd be just too much for them to pass on at this point.
I think Dallas Turner is going to be a big-time NFL player. I think Dallas Turner is one of those kids that was out of Alabama and wasn't nearly as good as he will be on the next level. I think it all comes together for him. I think that's hard to pass up if you can put him on the opposite side of Sweat, man. Yeah. That's two good pass rushers. So, me personally, I'd probably take Turner over Dunze, but I could understand why they would do that.
Do you think the Bears have been about as efficient and improved as anyone in the NFL this offseason?
I said midway through the season, we were on the air down here. I'm in Lauderdale now. We were on the air, and I said this to one of our hosts. I said, the Chicago Bears will be a playoff team or pushing for a playoff spot next year no matter who's playing quarterback. And I really believe that. Yeah. I think this team – I don't know why everybody wants to replace the left tackle. I don't get that one. I don't understand that. You see these mock drafts and people around the league saying they need to replace the left tackle. He's a second-year player. He's going to be a good player. What did he give up, 2 sacks last year, 3 sacks? I mean, I don't understand that one. So I think you have 2 good tackles, okay? You have weapons on the outside. You have, a tight end who can catch the football, which is important nowadays. I wouldn't have done the Swift thing. I think that, to me, that was an overpay for a back. I think they had back.
We agree. Waste of time.
There are a million backs out there. Yes. You can draft them and run them and develop them and all that, but I wouldn't have done that. But still, you have weapons around that quarterback. Then you go to the defensive side. That defense at the end of last year was playing really good football. Those 2 young kids on the inside are going to be really good players. People don't even know who they are. And I think, look at the corners. You have 2 good young corners to build around. I mean, that's important in this league. So I like where they're heading. I think the Bears, if Caleb Williams is every bit as good as what people think he's going to be, the Bears will be relevant and pushing for Super Bowls for maybe the next decade.
Love to hear that. Pete Prisco from CBS for a few more minutes talking football with us. It's Carmen and Jurko on ESPN Chicago. Okay, I think Josh Allen's going to be 28. I mean, Josh Allen's got 6, 7, 8 years, probably a very high-level football left in him. It seems like maybe this last 4-year version of the Bills that were knocking on the door, that window may have closed. But do you feel like another one will open at some point? And are you at all curious or like disappointed in just how much they've purged in Buffalo here, especially after yesterday getting rid of Stephon Diggs.
No, you always have to get rid of guys a year early rather than a year late. And when you look at their team, it's still the window's still. People say the window's closed. As long as Josh Allen's throwing the football around, your window's open.
You probably have a chance.
Yeah, and look at what they did at the end of last year. They ran the ball. Cook was a factor. The offensive line was the best it's been in a long time. They got a rookie right guard who was really good. The right tackle had his best year when he was healthy. They were decimated on defense and still were right there at the end. I mean, think about what they lost. Daquan Jones down for most of the year. Von Miller was a shell of himself last year. They lost their, Milano was down. Then they lost their backup linebacker. The corner, Tre'Davious White, went down. The safeties were in and out of the lineup all year long. And somehow they found a way. If they hit a shot in the end zone at the end of the Chiefs game, they probably win that game. And so here they are. Now they're retooling a little bit. They're going to get younger. They're going to get more athletic outside. And Diggs didn't do much last year at the end of the year. Yeah. I mean, I think he had like 7 games at the end of the season, second half of the season, with 8 or more targets, and there were like 5 of them where he didn't have 40 yards. I mean, he's a pain. They were so willing to get rid of him that they ate the cap number.
That's
I mean, think about that.
They didn't get much back, and they're eating $31 million. That's how willing they were to get rid of a guy that's been a very productive receiver.
And you know what? From the Texans' standpoint, you got a young quarterback who's going to be a star. You think he's going to be a star. He's going into his second year. And we know we've seen guys burst on the scene. Second year is important for him. Why would you bring him into that?
Is it Pete, is it because they realize like what they've got and it's so important to try to strike now while he's on this rookie contract? Like, hey, we just got to go for it? I mean, is that
then
why?
Go get Ayuk. Go get Ayuk. He's younger. Yeah. He's not he's not going to complain and mope and get angry when he doesn't get the football. You have a young quarterback with 2 young receivers, and now you bring him in. And look, he's not a bad guy. He's just you know how those kind of receivers are. They want the ball all the time, and then they start complaining, and it starts bleeding over, and it's never a good thing. I wouldn't look. The Texans, I get it. You got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You got to go for it, but why bring him in?
Yeah, he's not a bad guy, but a tough teammate probably.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it
that's
seems
exactly
like.
It. He's hey, Jurko, you play with a bunch of wide receivers who were happier when they had 12 catches and lost than when they had 3 and 1.
I play with Andre Rison, and we had to get rid of him just so we can get the other guys a chance to play.
Yeah.
Right.
We had Andre, and we got rid of him, and Jimmy Smith and McCardle had a chance to shine.
You know what, by the way, speaking of Keenan, he's a great coach for the Vikings. Does a great job. And he's the one who actually got Diggs. He was the coach at Diggs at Maryland. He got him to become a good receiver. And Keenan's Exhibit A, by the way. I still tell Keenan, I go, Keenan, if you had 3 for 33 and no touchdowns and you guys won, you were never as happy as when you had 11 for 120 and 2. Don't tell me you were.
What does he say?
He laughs because he knows.
That's pretty good. All right, it's good catching up with you, buddy. Thanks. We appreciate the time. We'll call you again, so we'll bug you when the season gets close, all right?
You got it.
All right, buddy.
Absolutely.
We'll
Take
see
care.
you. There's Pete Prisco. Always fun to talk to Pete from CBS Sports.